G'day YouTube, welcome back to my channel Bonsai Works. I'm David. Today I want to take you through the life of this tree in terms of what's the next stage for this little Shimpaku juniper. This juniper is actually quite a decent sized trunk. I've actually airlaid multiple trees off this in the past. I took off lots of air layers and so on, and then I've put a massive bend and twisted it up and try to create a new front somewhere in here, and I marked it with that as the new front. However, it doesn't look as good. But anyway, I'll just think about new ways to change this tree and what's the next stages in this tree's life. So it's actually coming towards the last month of winter, I guess. It's warming up already in Melbourne, so it's a good stage, good point to actually think about repotting some conifers now, and this one's as well. So I want to go from nursery plastic pot to its first bonsai pot. Now, unfortunately, I don't have anything that's a perfect size pot for this tree. I've had a look and I'm just a bit short on smaller sizes, so I might have to just over pot this tree a little bit this year until I find the right pot. But it's more important what the stages I go through with this tree. So I need to establish the front for this tree again. I did pick that, but it looks a bit boring if I lined it up with the camera. It's there. You can see how those two lines line up in the wire. So if you see how it's those two lines, so if you line it up, that's your front. So I put it in the camera. I don't know. It feels like there's a nice twist in this tree, but it's a little straight up here. So I just want to maybe shrink it a bit more, maybe shorten it a bit more. Let's make it a smaller tree somehow. And that's what I'm thinking, making it small. Like shrinking it a little bit, squashing it down. And maybe having more of an angle on this tree. So maybe taking this actually more towards here. So actually giving it a bit more of an angle change, and then I'd wire everything back around and so on. So I'm just roughly trying to find a new front for this tree. It's a bit better angle now at this point. So it looks I think it's a bit better having that. Nabari is actually really good as well from that end. So we can have a good look at the Nabari there too. So just changing the front slightly. And now I'm going to work on the branches. So it's pretty much, most things are wide and it's not cutting in. So it's a matter of me tweaking everything until I'm happy. So I will have to trim it a little bit, of course. Maybe remove a couple of little smaller branches, just don't know. But most of the branches are going to be in place, and it's going to be a bit of a trimming job rather than too much transformational work. So we'll see how it actually ends up. Just slowly, removing branches into place, slowly and surely getting them into where I would like them to be. Probably have to apply a bit more wire to it, but it is a bit of fun now, trying to find the new tree. So I'm going to try and place things, work things out. Remember, when you place them, anything that's hanging down, you can actually pluck off, cut off. It's up to you, but just remove the stuff that's going down. If anything's too strong growing, get your scissors and cut it off. And I'll show you that in a minute. But go through that same process. If you follow that same process, it reduces everything back quite nicely. So just doing that, removing the lower ones, it's already creating a nice flat pad at the bottom. So just slowly do that. It's only one hand used to. Well, I don't want to block the camera, so just slowly go through it. So when you've got tall foliage, you don't want to pinch it out. You just come in with your scissors and cut once. And you cut once and you only have one cut. And only one cut, because then the foliage at the base of that cut fills in the branch nicely. Like, it's just the base foliage gives you the nice fill-in of foliage that you actually need to keep to make the nice pads and cloud effect. So just remember that a little bit. Get rid of that base, get rid of that pointy bit only once. You only have to cut once, and the other little side ones, fill in the gap. So very important. Don't pinch or cut like this across the foliage. That just browns off the tree, causes damage. and doesn't look good for the tree. Once you establish your first branch in that position, you work with the rest of the tree. I like to always establish that branch. Sometimes I come up on this side just to try and see if I can fill in the gaps that I need, and other times I go to the other side to try and find the other side of the tree, where the first branch is on this side of the tree. The back I'm not too concerned about. There is this low branch down here, which I'm not sure what it's going to do. I don't think it's needed there, but we'll determine that later. Must have put it there for a reason. I'm thinking I might have put it there to layer it off, possibly. We've got enough branches in here to fill in the gap that we need in this section and give us some depth, so that should be okay. So I'm thinking this might be either cutting or future layer. So come back to here. I'm going to start working on this side. All right, so I've wired up the tree, and this is what it kind of looks like now. It's a nice little mini, my specialty. I just got a few bits and pieces you got to put in back place, but I'll remove that back branch and I'm just going to use it as a cutting. So pretty much trying to line that, I think somewhere around there. Looks pretty good. Nice tree, nice little canopy, nice foliage, etc. But as I said, my dilemma is the pot. I don't have anything that I think is exactly the right size. So I was limited with options in terms of pots that I had. So here's a couple more. I wish I had a unglazed, but I don't. So I've got this kind of nice light green pot that looks okay. Not too bad. Remember, this is the first time it's going into a bonsai pot. It doesn't have to be the fun. Or I'm thinking maybe this one. This is probably the most likely choice. Even though it's a glaze, it's got that brown tinge to it. It doesn't look too bad. So it's got that butterfly shape, which is interesting. So we'll see how it goes in terms of which one we end up doing. But let's try and see what the roots look like now. So let's try and get that out of the pot and work our way through that. So just trying to minimize the mess. I usually have something to catch all the soil once you bring it out. So let's have a look. Not too bad. Let's have a scrape a lot of the soil off. I usually like to use my hands as much as I can, just to feel what the root ball looks like, feel how it is, and then look at trying to work my way into it. Then I've got to get my root hooks and so on and so forth ready to do the work. You do a couple. You got a 2-prong hook, or I really like this kind of root hook, just to see how that pulls apart. Once you start using this, you actually can get pretty good work done. If you see some weeds growing, try and get rid of them as well. I usually like to try and comb. Usually the top part is very dense and it's very compact, so you really want to work your way in the top area as well. Make sure the bottom area is nicely falling apart, because I did put my mix into that lower part of the tree, and so it looks like nice fine roots in the lower part, but and the top is probably the key. So work your way through. Now remember, with this tree, I've worked it over a number of years. So I've reduced a lot of the foliage it had by air layering it off and so on. So I have done a lot of work to the top half of the tree. The roots have stayed the same. So there's actually quite a lot of roots on this tree for all the work that I've done. So it hasn't really been repotted. I must have got it out of that pot one year and just put it in another pot just to grow it on, because I've got these really nice long roots, which I'm not going to keep anyway. But I just want to show you that there's plenty of roots there. The tree isn't weakened by anything. All I did was reduce it a little bit when I restyled this tree, removing all the other foliage, but left the roots alone for I haven't touched them really. So now it's a good time. I think it's safe enough to do this work, so that's why I'm doing it, to get some root work. Now, the other thing I do now, because it's got a lot of fine stuff in here. Now I do like to wash as much as I can of this soil, the fine stuff in the top bit off. I just find I know it's not really bare rooting, like you could bare root it. I don't think there's any problem, but I have a good step towards almost bare rooting this tree. And bare rooting is pretty much washing all the soil off and just having the roots. You can do it. I'm going to just do it partially, maybe half of it off for the first time round, and then the next time I'll get rid of it pretty much in total. So
just be a bit more cautious. I mean, I don't want to risk the life of the tree, so don't risk it. But I think there wouldn't be an issue if I just washed all the soil off totally and get it just back to roots and put it in my new mix. It shouldn't have a problem. So I'm just going to go away and wash a lot of the right in here, just to loosen it, because it's quite a little bit dense and so on. So I just want to loosen that up so I can have a better look at the roots. Now the root spread's pretty awesome. So I got lucky there for this tree, so it looks really good. Yeah, just wanted to do that. All right, so I've washed the soil off, most of it, but you can still see there's quite there's a bit of stuff in there still. Now, in the meantime, I've prepped the pot. I am going to put in a slightly larger pot. It just needs to be. It's too much root ball. Just to be safe this year, I'm going to put it in this pot. All I've done is put some bit of soil and I obviously put the screens in the holes and put some wire through the holes just to hold the tree. And I've already got some soil mounded up, ready to go. Got my soil mix here ready to pour in. But let's do some root work, which is why I find everyone's a bit scared of. The root work, don't be too shy to get into it a little bit. Have a look at some of the long ones you're never going to use. Like obviously these long ones that are hanging are no good. Anything that's going kind of the wrong way, also look at getting rid of it. So it's going to be too much anyway, all this. So remember, we are repotting. So we have lots of nice foliage anyway. The tree's healthy, the tree's strong. Now you can just plonk it straight back in like this if you really wanted to. But I like to go in and look at anything that's really long and ugly and it's going to be in the way in the future. Something that's they're not in the nicest spot. So you just go have a look. Some things might be curled around. You want to see if you can pry them apart if you see something that's not really working and it's in the way. So always look carefully at your tree roots when you can actually do it. Some things are they're big and ugly and heavy. We don't need that. So just remove small amounts each time. Don't go crazy and remove the whole root. There's this really twisted up one in here. So I'm just having a look if I can see what I can do with it. I'm trying to find where it ends and try and pull it apart. I'm just going to reduce it. I didn't reduce the whole thing, I just reduced partially, and that's enough for that. So, you look through the roots and try and find where things are at. The other thing you can find is really the white weeds as well. So remove those weeds as well. So another good point. But to get into that pot, I probably have to reduce a little bit more on this side of the tree. Let's have a look. All right, that's not too bad. Let's see if it fits, how it's going to fit. It's probably a bit too much root still. Let's see if I can reduce it a little bit more. Let's try now. By wiggling it into the pot, you're really getting the roots pushing into the new soil. So that's really important. So how's that tree look? Angle, I'm going to make sure I get the right angle. So this is your chance to get it exactly where you want it in the front and get it looking right so that you can actually look at the tree, be happy with it where it is. It's not too bad. I think it's just slightly this way more. Because once I finish repotting, I can't really touch this tree for a good year. I don't want to really touch it out of the pot. I want to make sure it stays safe and sound. I'm just finding the white weeds, getting rid of them. You see the roots. This tree's not too bad. Okay, I'm reasonably happy with where it is, so I'm just going to tie it in now. Tie it into the pot. So I've got the wire. Now, it's never going to be shown in this state, so that's the other beauty of it. You've got time to show this tree eventually. It's not ready, so you can actually have it in whatever you want in terms of the pot, in terms of how it's wired in, and so on. It's only when you want to show the tree that you have to really look at preparing a better pot, better looking tree, and so on. Now we top up the top of the surface and work all the soil in. Now I just roughly put it on, and this is where the chopstick comes in handy to really try and work the soil into all the air pockets that you've got on this tree. So it's really important, especially at this stage. So as much as you can, use your fingers, use whatever you got, chopsticks of course, use your fingers, work out all the soil in. Very important to get right into all the bits. Right, so once you've worked all the soil into the roots and so on, it's pretty much ready to go back on the benches, but give it a good water and get it right. So at the moment I've mounded the soil a bit higher than the root ball, because once you water it in, the kind of soil settles and then it will slowly expose the roots, the navari on the tree. So as long as you know that, just mound it up a little bit, it should be okay. It's pretty good, not exactly the perfect position I wanted, I think, but it's close enough. Especially in this pot, I wanted to get used to a smaller pot so that when I find the right pot for it, it's easier to transfer into that new pot. So I was a little cautious on the roots. You can see I didn't go too hard like in my deciduous trees. Just give it a chance. Remove enough roots to get in the pot for the first time, especially when you're going from nursery pot to bonsai pot, and get the tree looking healthy and strong. Let the tree recover now, put it in the same spot in the garden that I would have it normally, and let the spring come along and take over and be a nice looking tree. So there you go, guys. Nice little show of how I took nursery stock over the years, reduced it, finalized the design, repotted it into its first bonsai pot. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and we'll see you around for more videos. Take care, bye.